Hello everyone, my name is Shubhajit and you are watching Web Dev Shubhajit. Today we will be discussing about one of the very important questions from JavaScript interview perspective also, that is IIFE, which is immediately invoked functional expression. So what is IIFE? Immediately invoked functional expression. As the name suggests, this functional expression is invoked as when we reach that position, wherever that functional expression is defined. Okay. Let me show you why IIFE exists and where it solves our problem. So let's say if I take a promise as PR, and let's say this PR is a function which will return us a new promise, and inside that we have resolve and reject. One more thing, if you are not aware about promises, please go to the channel and you can get the promise video there, and then after when you come here you will be able to understand it properly. Okay, so return new promise, and this promise will be resolved after, let's say, 1.5 seconds. So that is 1500 milliseconds. I have set it, the timeout, and when the timeout is resolved, like whenever the timeout completes, it will be resolved with a value of, let's say, resolved. Okay, so this is our promise, a simple promise which actually gets resolved after 1.5 seconds with the value of resolved. Cool, that sounds good. Now we can have, let's say, a variable a which will actually wait for this PR function which will be returning a promise. So it will actually wait for this PR promise to resolve. So I can say that a will get the value resolved, but it will get only after 1.5 seconds. And when there is an await here, the statement will wait for 1.5 seconds before going to the next statement. Okay, now let's have some of this again. So const b, and then again b, control C, control V. So we have const C and console log C. I hope it is pretty much clear that all of them will be resolving with the same value, that is this value resolved. Okay, this is understood. Okay, now what will happen if I run this? If you are a bit aware about JavaScript, then you should be able to understand that, okay, resolved is not defined. Resolve, reject, why it is telling this? Let me save this one, let me clear this out, and let me run this. Yeah, now the error came. Okay, that's what I am expecting. Await is only valid in async functions and the top level bodies of modules. So neither it is a top level module body of a module, neither it is wrapped inside an async function. So you might be aware, if you know a bit of JavaScript or you know a bit of promises and async await, that we need to actually wrap await inside an async function. Then only await can be used over that. So okay, as the error says, let's wrap this inside an async function, and let's now shift all these things inside this async function. That should be fine. Yeah, that should be fine, and we can just call this function. Okay, so what we are doing, we have an async function in which we have all the await code, and then we are calling this function afterwards. Okay, that looks good. Let me run this. Now you can able to see that resolved after 1.5 second, after 1.5 second, and then after 1.5 second. Okay, so these actually go step by step due to the statement of await inside an async function. I hope you understand that what just happened. After every 1.5 seconds, this resolved is triggered due to this reason, due to this code in which we are awaiting, and due to this promise which we are resolving after every 1.5 seconds. Okay, this looks cool. But can you see one thing, that uh, we are calling this function, and it's just with that we have to wrap it inside an async function. That's why we have to create this fn. Independently, this fn doesn't have any use case. It's just that we need to wrap it inside an async function and then just calling it afterwards. That's it. So this fn is actually redundant. To remove this redundancy, what we can do, we can take the help of IIFE. What will IIFE do? We don't need to actually uh, give a value to this async function. What we can do, we can actually wrap this whole async function inside parenthesis, and we can immediately call it as it arrives. So you can see that we have this async function body, and initially we are giving an const fn, that is an fn value, and then we are calling that fn. Now what we are doing, we are wrapping this inside parenthesis, and this whole function body, what we are doing, we are calling it immediately. That's why the name suggests immediately invoked functional expression. So we are calling it immediately, right? So what this helps, this actually helps us to remove the redundancy of the fn variable. And now if I run the thing, you can see that resolved after 1.5 second, each the same behavior as it was doing with the calling of fn method. This much should be understood. Okay, so this is the first thing which we are resolving. We are not polluting our global scope. So this is our global scope, this thing, whatever here is our global scope. Okay, so we are not polluting it with names like fn, because anyway we have to call this function, and now we are not giving a fn name to it, we are just calling it immediately when it is invoked. Good. Now we are also saving this from one more thing. Initially we have this, right? So here you can also see that a, b and c are variables which are created from the await statement, and then we are just console logging it. So this is also making things cluttered in the global scope, creating variable a, b and c and then just console logging it, or maybe using it somewhere else. So in that case, it's better to wrap it inside an async block inside parenthesis, and then we can use IIFE to immediately invoke that. So this actually saves us from polluting the global scope. I hope you have understood the video, and if you have any doubts, please put them in the comment section. I will be really happy to help. Thanks a lot, guys.